Just FYI, I am not sponsored. I just have lots of clothes that have logos on them. I really just can't control it. The Avengers, Earth's mightiest heroes, the saviors of the universe. Over the years, we have seen numerous versions of the team, starting in 2012 with the original 6 members, growing in 2015's Age of Ultron to include Falcon, War Machine, and the Scarlet Witch as new members, before splitting up after the events of 2016's Civil War, which, with the exception of the team's brief reformation to fight Thanos and his army in 2019's Avengers Endgame, which is different to the in-universe date of 2023, which is confusing when it comes to making timelines, so just bear with me, was the last time that a full, consistent Avengers roster has been established, which is genuinely wild. If you recall, back during the events of both Age of Ultron and Captain America Civil War, it was made very blatant to the audience that the Avengers weren't just a group of heroes who came together every now and then when the Earth needed saving. No, the Avengers were more akin to a football team, going out on missions frequently, raiding high-priority military targets as independent contractors, even living together within Avengers Tower. For the most part, the Avengers were a family, which makes it all the more strange that after the events of Avengers Endgame, when you'd think the Avengers would have been needed the most, they disbanded. But that's all ancient history, because as of Captain America Brave New World, spoilers ahead by the way, Sam Wilson, aka Captain America, has decided to take on the monumental task of reforming the Avengers from scratch. And as a video response to Ryan Airy from Screen Crush, and because I just want to do it anyway, I'm going to spend today's video discussing my dream lineup for the Avengers that I think we will see getting recruited throughout the mid and post-credit scenes of many of the upcoming movies leading up to their full debut as a team in Avengers Doomsday. Howdy y'all, I'm Brian, and without any further ado, let's begin. So this is a bit awkward. While I was in the process of writing this script and filming this video, Marvel decided to go ahead and release the official cast for Avengers Doomsday during a 5-hour live stream of chairs. What? So that kind of throws a monkey wrench into my plans for this video, so I was considering just scrapping the video entirely and releasing something else instead, since I won't really be predicting anything at this point. But I decided against that because I do still have a lot to say regarding the Avengers lineup, and it turns out that one of my most out there picks was confirmed by this cast list. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to return at the end of the video to recap everything I said, so until then, take it away, past me. Also, this is just water. I'm extremely dehydrated. Now, before we dive in and start naming names, I feel it's only right we lay down a few ground rules to follow when building our lineup. Because as much as I'd love to fill this team with nothing but the strongest characters ever introduced in the comics, this list should be as close to what a real MCU main universe Avengers team would look like. Not to mention that this whole video is based around the parameters that Screen Crush laid out in their video on the topic, so I want to try and keep as close to their rules as possible. So here are the 4 rules I will be following while building out my roster. Rule 1. No alternate universe castings. The lineup that we're building is going to be the lineup as seen in Avengers Doomsday, and alternatively, Sam has yet to really delve into the multiverse as of this moment in the MCU, and as thus won't have any way of contacting any heroes from other universes. Besides, the members of this team should all be able to live together in the same building most of the time, and so heroes from, say, Universe 838 probably wouldn't want to have to move whole realities just for a job. Rule 2. Refrain from too many overlapping powers. While it would be very beneficial for Sam's team to consist of the most powerful heroes in the world, like Captain Marvel and Thor for one, it's not all that realistic that Sam just has all the heavy hitters on speed dial. And 2, it wouldn't make for a very compelling team dynamic if all the heroes could just solve the problem by themselves. Rule 3. The team must consist of 6 members, though this rule is going to be broken almost instantly, but I will address that addendum when it comes up. However, my primary team will consist of 6 main members and a few auxiliary members who I think would show up from time to time, but wouldn't be official long-term Avengers with the matching uniforms and the team mottos and all that fun stuff. And finally, Rule 4, this is my list, so if you've got a problem with it, then tell me in the comments. I actually really love to hear all of y'all's rosters and see how they'd compare to mine. That being said though, try and be respectful of other people's opinions down there, and let's make this channel as positive as possible. Alright, time to get into the roster. First and foremost, we have the de facto leader of the Avengers, and as of right now, the only confirmed member, Captain America, aka Sam Wilson. Sam's inclusion on the team is basically a free space. I mean, he's the one building the team for Pete's sake. It would be more surprising if he wasn't the leader. However, as per Rule 2, Captain America's inclusion means that another hero, one who was teased as a member of the New Avengers in Captain America Brave New World, will not be allowed a full-time roster spot, as he is another hero who is primarily winged flight based. So unfortunately, Joaquin Torres, aka the Falcon, will have to be relegated to an auxiliary spot. Though this decision is not one that would have to go unexplained in universe, as it is shown in Brave New World that Torres is a member of the US military, and thusly would be required to split his time between the Avengers and whatever his duties are for the US government, and unless the Avengers are designated as a US military special ops team, which I doubt Sam would ever agree to after the Sokovia Accords and the events of Brave New World, then it's more than likely that the Falcon will end up being an on-again, off-again aide to the team, rather than a full-time member himself. So sorry Falcon fans, but he's off the team. Next up on the roster, we have the other best friend of an OG Avenger, Colonel James Rhodey Rhodes, aka the War Machine. Now this one is pretty much as expected in my eyes as Captain America. For one, Rhodey has been an auxiliary Avenger since the end of Age of Ultron, and has been a superhero for way longer than that, donning the Iron Man suit all the way back in Iron Man 2. So from a character standpoint, I think it's high time he finally becomes a full-fledged Avenger. Then, you take into account the crappy writing he had to deal with in Secret Invasion, totally botching his character, mixed with the fact that Robert Downey Jr., formerly Iron Man, will now be playing Victor Von Doom in the MCU, and I think you've got a recipe for a really heartbreaking storyline to play out through Rhodey in Avengers Doomsday. Side note really quick, I've got a whole pitch for an Armor Wars show or film just sitting in my drafts, just waiting to be completed, that would dive into Rhodey's recovery after Secret Invasion, as well as his dealing with Tony's passing, and even training up a new apprentice that fans are already familiar with. So if that video is something that y'all want to see, then please let me know in the comments down below, and I will jump right on that. Next up, Ant-Man. Easy and simple, I think. Scott was on Team Cap in Civil War, and since he was the one who discovered time travel back in Endgame, I'm fairly certain Sam would at least extend an invitation for Scott to join the Avengers proper. Not to mention that after the events of Quantumania, I believe Scott would be more than willing to join, if only to make sure that Kang was truly and completely defeated for good. Unfortunately, I do think that Scott Lang won't make it out of Avengers Doomsday alive. I could totally see him sacrificing himself in an attempt to save the world from destruction, though I also believe that we will 100% see a version of him reborn on Battleworld in Secret War. Alright, so as of now, I've yet to include any strictly magic-based heroes in my roster, although Scott does stray pretty close to full-blown wizardry at times.
Close-up magic. I learned that.
But that's all going to change thanks to member number 4, Shang-Chi. We see during the post-credit scene in 2023's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings that thanks to the Ten Rings seemingly connecting to the mystic arts, Wong, and subsequently other Avengers such as Bruce Banner and Carol Danvers, know of Shang-Chi's existence and usage of the Ten Rings. So it's very likely that while attempting to recruit Bruce into his new Avengers team, Banner would also recommend Sam takes a look into Shang-Chi as a potential candidate for the team. Especially if my theory turns out to be true, and the Ten Rings end up being a major plot point in the ending of the multiverse saga. They may even be what ends up bringing Doctor Doom to this universe in the first place. And if that does end up happening, and Shang-Chi loses the rings for a while, well, that might actually be a good thing. Because Shang-Chi, even without his magic rings, is still a very skilled martial artist, and would be a valuable asset to the Avengers regardless. Now, another hero whom I mentioned just a second ago would be Avenger number 5, the Hulk. But hang on, this one comes with a catch. For starters, I honestly doubt that the current version of Professor Hulk would accept Sam's proposal to join a reformed Avengers team for a number of reasons. One of which being that he is currently busy raising his son Scar, but another reason being that I just don't think he'd be all that interested in getting back into the fight after everything that's happened. Then again, I'm not ruling it out because Bruce Banner may understand the gravity of a world without the Avengers and to decide to join regardless. But even if Banner chooses to sit this one out, there is still a strong green member of Banner's family who may be a bit more interested in accepting Sam's proposal. I'm kidding. She-Hulk. But even then, I can still see a few reasons why She-Hulk would decline the offer. First of all, Jen Walters is a West Coast lawyer, and even in her own show, seems to dislike the superhero side of her new life. Not to a point where she won't ever put on a costume and go fight a bad guy, seeing as she has a superhero costume now, but I don't really know if she'd be all that interested in uprooting her whole life and moving across the country to work full-time as a superhero, even if she then takes up a gig as the Avengers' personal lawyer. However, something I can see her doing is joining the team temporarily to help Sam, and then going on to form a branch of the Avengers located in Los Angeles. A West Coast Avengers, if you will. Just some food for thought. Although at the end of the day, I think that She-Hulk will be on the team in Avengers Doomsday, as the team will definitely need some female representation. So that's why she'll be taking my number 5 spot, unless it does end up being Bruce, but I just don't see that one happening. And finally, coming in as the 6th, but certainly not least of the Avengers, is the Black Panther, aka Shuri. Now, I spent quite a lot of time while writing this script going back and forth over whether this spot belonged to Shuri as Black Panther or Peter Quill's Star-Lord, and ultimately, while I would have loved to see Star-Lord back in action, this time as an official Avenger, I ultimately decided that Black Panther just fit a lot better for this first incarnation of the new Avengers. I mean, first and foremost, Black Panther has been a very useful ally to the Avengers since Thanos' invasion in 2018, and Sam himself has a relatively stable relationship with the country of Wakanda through his friendship with Steve Rogers. Enough that the Wakandans decided to give Sam not just one Captain America suit, but 2! Also keep in mind that Shuri is a genius when it comes to technology, especially vibranium-based technology. And knowing this fact, I'm sure Sam would be quick to reach out to her for a roster position. Now, a big question that kinda stumped me for a bit was whether or not she would even be interested in taking up a leading role on this team, seeing as how she is the princess of Wakanda, and as the last living member of the royal family, after both her brother and mother's deaths during the events of Wakanda Forever, is next in line for the throne. However, it is implied during the end of that same film that Shuri has decided to relinquish rule over Wakanda to M'Baku of the Jabari tribe, as symbolized by her not showing up to the ceremonial fight for kingship. So with that information in mind, I think it's quite likely that she would be willing to join up with Sam and the other Avengers to continue her brother's efforts of outreach that he started all the way back in the end credits scene from the first Black Panther film. But I don't think that rules out Star-Lord from appearing in a future version of this team. Think about it. He's Earth-based now, a genius mechanic and pilot with a proclivity for battle tactics. Has a history both leading and being a part of a team of superpowered beings, as well as a raccoon in a tree. Peter is far and away the best candidate for an expansion member of the Avengers team, unless he decides he'd rather lead his own team in the future, in which case I could fully see him starting a team at some point in the future, whether it be an Avengers spin-off like the West Coast or Great Lakes Avengers, or some other team from Marvel Comics. Just don't count the Star Prince out just yet. Also, side note, I have a really cool pitch for a legendary Star-Lord Disney Plus show that I would really like to turn into a video for y'all. So if y'all could let me know if that's something you'd like to see as well in the comments, then I'd much appreciate it. Now, before I break my 6-member rule and make what I think will be my biggest reach of the video, here are a few auxiliary members who may or may not help out from time to time, but I don't think we'll have spots on a full Avengers roster anytime soon. Firstly, I've got Spider-Man. Now look, I'd love to see the webhead on another Avengers team as much as the next guy. But after No Way Home, I honestly think that Peter is going to want to stick closer to the ground, be more friendly neighborhood and less galaxy quest. Maybe he makes a cameo in Daredevil, flirt around with the Black Cat. Heck, why not let him fight villains like the Scorpion, Rhino, Hammerhead? Now sure, I guarantee Tom Holland will appear in some capacity as the character in both Avengers Doomsday and Secret War. He's too popular not to. I just don't see him being a full member for a long time to come. In that same vein, characters like Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, The Punisher, Swordsman, etc. are all a little too low tier to be Avengers in my opinion, though I hear a new Defenders team will be coming around pretty soon. Video idea? Same goes for any young Avengers age characters. Kamala Khan, Cassie Lang, Hawkeye, Wiccan, all those youngsters are more likely to find a home in a Young Avengers or Champions film than as fully fledged Avengers. And lastly, the Thunderbolts, * characters, for pretty much the same reason as for all other team-based heroes. Also, Thor is off-world and so is Carol. Also, Monica is chumming it up with Frasier in the X-Men universe that I assume will be colliding with our world in Doomsday, so that's something. Alright, with all that out of the way, I have one more official Avenger that I think will have a spot on the team. Maybe not because Sam wants them on the team, but because the US government forced them onto the team as a compromise with Sam to allow them to operate domestically. My favorite Marvel character of all time and the newest member of the Superman clone discussion on film, Robert Reynolds, aka The Century. So Present Brian back again with some important information gleaned from our official cast announcement. I got Century right! Woohoo! No, you're copyright. Anyway. With all seriousness, though, I did add Sentry to this lineup weeks before this announcement. I actually started writing this video right after Captain America Brave New World was released, and Sentry was my first pick for the team after Captain America himself. So seeing if I got this inclusion right makes me super freaking happy. The rest of the team, not so much. For starters, I did predict Cap, Ant-Man, Shang-Chi, and Black Panther, but for some reason Rhodey was not in this reveal, which takes him out of the lineup, and instead we get Thor, which, yeah, I get it. But I don't fully get Falcon, as explained earlier. I just don't like that he and Sam are basically the same guy, except Sam's got a shield. I don't know, though, just strange. Speaking of strange, there was also no Doctor Strange in the announcement. I didn't even put this in my notes. I just completely remembered it. Doctor Strange is nowhere to be found in the announcement chairs. Neither is Wong. where the crap are all of our sorcerers going? The rest of the lineup was also kind of weird. Firstly, every Thunderbolts member except Taskmaster is returning, so also the Fantastic Four. Not surprising, but they're there. M'Baku is making an appearance alongside Namor? Kukul Klan, or Kukul Khan? Kukul Khan. It's very hard for me to pronounce Mesoamerican names. Please forgive me if I completely butchered it. The fish guy. Not to mention Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, Alan Cumming, James Marsden, Rebecca Romaine, freaking Channing Tatum! So we are getting Avengers vs. X-Men. Probably. Maybe. It seems like it. But also Victor Von Doom. I don't know. But I digress. At the end of the day, this is not the full list of characters returning, so I'm sure Spider-Man and Daredevil will make an appearance, as well as the Guardians. I just don't think they're going to be all that big of players until Secret Wars. So, I basically say all this to say I'm freaking excited. Anyways, back to Past Brian for the outro. So there you have it. Our new Avengers lineup consists of Captain America, War Machine, Ant-Man, Shang-Chi, She-Hulk, Black Panther, and the Century. I hope this video was informative on how my brain works when processing MCU-related gobbledygook, but I also hope it was a fun watch. And now it's your turn. What is your dream Avengers Doomsday lineup? Please let me know down in the comments below, and while you're down there, give me a team you'd like to hear me build for the MCU next. I'm thinking between the Defenders and the proper Thunderbolts next. But anyways, that's all I've got for you today. Thank you all so much for watching. Please remember to hit like if you like this extremely long video, and subscribe for more content just like it. Once again, thanks for watching, and as always, take care.